Yeah.
What do you think was the biggest pinch me moment from your dancing career?
Yeah, pinch me. So with like the two areas of dance that I work in are professional dancing, so backup dancing and all the other things that encompass that, and then tutoring and choreographing for things or artists or whatever. So they're both quite different because they require different things. But in like the tutoring, choreographing side of things, which I'd probably lean more towards because of what I value, um, like in terms of helping people out, there's been a lot of pinch me moments where like you're tutoring someone and a student in a class is you see something click in the head and they all of a sudden got everything that you've just given them tip wise or they've worked really hard on their feedback and then you see it click in the session and you know for a fact they feel really proud of themselves. I'd say moments like that are a super important pinch me moment because I stand there and I think that's exactly why I do what I do. Like
Mm.
you feeling that moment is why I'm standing here. That's the purely the only reason. So tutoring and that sort of thing is like when people feel really, really happy about the work that you've put in for them and they feel invested into and things are changing. Is moments that keep me going. And then in terms of the professional realm, as me being a dancer, definitely last year headlining Coachella with BLACKPINK was an absolute pinch me moment. I just like even saying that out loud right now that blows my mind that happened.
And how did that happen? Because that's a massive. That's the probably one of the biggest stages
That is
and events
100%.
of the year,
Yes. Yes, 100% one of the biggest stages, especially for a professional dancer. Like
and in America, coming from New Zealand.
coming from New Zealand. And I think that's why it was probably a pinch me moment too, is because when we were setting up on stage for the first thing, obviously there's like hundreds of thousands of people screaming Blackpink and crying and being dramatic, as they should be, it's freaking Blackpink. But then I'm like looking to my right and I'm standing next to my friends from New Zealand. It's the fact that I've got all my Kiwi friends with me on a stage like that is wild. But um we got into that because, wait, that was the question, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We got into that through Kyle Tootin. So he has been choreographing for Blackpink for years now, through like submission videos. So, or just even him just being over in Korea and traveling and whatnot. Submission videos essentially is where a choreographer gets sent music for a song or something from an artist and they get asked to choreograph for that thing. Then the choreographer brings in a certain amount of dancers that they need into a dance studio and you work for a certain amount of hours or days to try and get through the choreographer's ideas and choreography, and then they send that off to the artists or whoever that it needs to go to, and then all of a sudden the artists are using a certain amount of that choreo in a show or a music video or whatever it looks like. So Kyle's been doing that for years and I've been working with Kyle for years as well. So there has been that relationship. He got made creative director for Blackpink's act at Coachella alongside being a choreographer, which is massive. Like, I can't believe he did a million roles in one. And so then he called me and said, do you want to be a part of my team? Because I'd love to have you. So I was really freaking honored to think that he would even have me on board. So
So
that's
was the
how we
whole
got into
crew
that.
from New Zealand?
It was
Was it a
mixed.
mix?
So we had predominantly Kiwis and Australians, and then a few American dancers that he had worked with before on other jobs that were really strong. So picked a really cool team. But yeah, he basically said to management that if I'm creative directing this, I'd love to have my team on board, like people I know that I've worked with that I can trust and work hard and do the things that they need to do. So they supported that decision, and then so we were able to go on. We were able to do Coachella, and then after that, we were toured the rest of the year with Blackpink as well. So it's pretty awesome.
So what does a day look like when you're going around and touring with them?
Yeah.
A day in
It
the life of
varies.
Loren.
The life of Lauren. It varies for sure. So obviously, we're traveling a lot. We're always on planes or going from airport to venue to hotel. So you're always in different hotels. Rehearsals are long and full on, but still, I feel like in the professional realm, things are obviously regulated. So we still had the normal things that you needed, like breaks and lunches and all the things that you need. Um, And then when it came to like shows, we were obviously training with the Blackpink girls whenever they could get into the studio and prep their work. It was full on and fun all in one. Not meaning to rhyme at all. That 100% came out as a freaking lyric. Yeah, it sounds like not as glamorous probably when I say it like that. There are times where you get certain days off, and we were lucky with the tour that we had because we did. And some tours you don't. You're just doing a million shows in like 1 week. That's exaggerating, but whatever. But when you did get time off, we'd obviously explore the country that you're in or the city that you're in and have a little look around. But besides that, you're in the rehearsal room or you're on the stage making sure that things are looking good and doing the things that you need to. Or in the gym if the hotel has a gym.
Yeah. I think it's important, though, to outline how it's not all glamorous and it's not all crazy fun. Like you see on, if you're posting on social media, the photos with the stage and the people out there. And all that, like I know you've been posting and stuff like that. It's mostly, traveling. And I'm not talking from experience, like I've lived a crazy lifestyle.
No, but from what you've seen.
Yeah, it's just, you're just like going from place to place, rehearsing, and then you get that 1 hour to 2 hours of glory where you're performing and you're like, oh, this is sick, and then it's back to the hotel or whatever.
Yeah, whatever you're doing. Yeah. I'd say that I lucked out, because we had a really good team of people, and with Kyle as like the choreographer, he also runs the agency that I'm a part of. So, which is, I can send through a link if anyone wants that at any point. But because he was on site and we had a team manager that looked after us as well, like there were so many people that were really good at what they did and really good at looking after people. And because they were there, it made the experience so much better and easier, and we felt like we were looked after. And but there are jobs where people don't have that or are required to do a lot, which I would say is just general part of the industry, but probably not good in terms of health and safety. Training for 1 million hours and then doing 3 shows a week, but also jet lagged, but also on a different time zone, and you're not eating the right amount, like your nutrition's out of whack, your sleep's out of whack. Like, it's sometimes when I think about things that some of my friends do, I'm like, that sounds unrealistic, but it's the job.
Yeah.
You do what you need to do.
Yeah, are you just meant to say no and miss out on that opportunity? It's tricky.
Exactly. Like, that's where it comes down to personal preference, right? Like, you weigh up your options for yourself. You either suck it up and do what you need to do, or you don't, and that's also okay. Like, just don't take the job. Let someone else take the job.
So with touring with Blackpink, was there any, not to get negative or anything, but was there any, because obviously they're massive. They are massive, and you would have spent a little bit of time with them. Did you ever catch them, let's say, being a bit overwhelmed or being a bit tired or like over it or being a bit like moody or like parts of their life that you saw, like their interactions with fans and stuff like that? Like, did you see some kind of, I don't know, like humanity moments from them where it's like, oh, this is like a pretty full on, not burden to carry, but responsibility to have this big following and crazy fans?
Absolutely. I'd say, and it would probably go across the board for anyone that's at that level or higher, or just anyone that's even remotely famous, actually. It would just be so much pressure to have like all eyes on you all the time. There wasn't really any moments where I felt like, sort it out. But maybe because of the way that K-pop stars are trained, because they train from a very young age to be a star. So they're not just thrown into the limelight. They get trained on how to handle themselves, how to look in front of social media. So like they actually know how to go about certain situations in high pressure moments. But there definitely were times where they'd probably turned up looking tired, and fair enough, because even for Coachella, they were still touring at the time that they were doing Coachella. So they'd come to Coachella rehearsals. We had 2 different rehearsals, one in Korea and then one in Las Vegas. They'd come to rehearsals, and then all of a sudden the next day they're on a plane to do another show in like Singapore. And then they'd come back to Vegas and we'd do more rehearsals. Then we'd do Coachella, and then they'd go to another city and do another show, like 2 shows. Then they'd come back to Coachella again. So I always I always thought, fair enough if you're like even remotely tired because you're, again, like what you said, only human. Like, how are you functioning? Like, how are you surviving right now? Um, but they were so sweet. The girls were always really keen to be like in rehearsals. We had so many rehearsals with them. And then there was a few of us that stood in as like, um, what are they called? They're like artist stand-ins. So I was assigned an artist where I learnt her whole entire track for the show. And then
And you performed as her?
And performed as her. So it was actually
the-
not her, it was
with
me.
the band? Yeah.
Band, and I've been
I'm
singing.
in Blackpink.
I'm Blackpink, and I sing in Korean.
I wrote all the songs.
I'm Blackpink. Imagine that.
I'm in
No.
New Zealand right now.
Yes, actually in Korea. No, but yeah, we obviously, there's like a few people who stand in. So I stood in as an artist, and I learnt her whole track alongside my own track. So a track is like what you do in a show for you specifically. And then when we have rehearsals, I make sure that one, I know what I'm doing at the same time as what she's doing. So if she's coming, like the shows were different. So she was touring a certain show and then she'd come back to Coachella and do a completely different show, but to the same songs.
Yeah, right.
So they know like
Two different choreographies for the same song.
different choreographies for the same song, and they were so onto it. Like we would be in a studio and they'd be like just fresh off coming from a show that they know really well, and then would be trying to teach them something different. I mean, I'm not teaching them, it's literally Kyle that's teaching them. But if they needed to know something different, we would show them what it looks like, and they would take seconds to pick it up. And they're like,
Wow.
okay, sweet, so it's that. And then all of a sudden they've got a whole new show in their brain. That they're so professional. Like I don't know how they handled it, and they'd be so sweet to us in the room, like really kind, making sure like there were points where like maybe if some of us were feeling a bit tired and we needed to run it again, and they'd be like, "You guys okay?" And we're like, "Yeah, like that's what we're here to do. It's okay, but thank you, thanks for checking in." And then even like we'd have certain times we were in Korea one time doing, I don't know, it might have been one of the shows, but they shouted us like this. They did like a cool event and brought us out for like Korean barbecue, and then gave out prizes to the whole team, like just spot prizes that they'd specifically bought themselves, like really good ones too, just to say thank you. They like brought us along to birthday parties, and they threw after parties for us, and like they did like more work than probably a lot of artists would do. So they were really cool. Yeah, I can't remember any. They probably had moments behind closed doors where they're probably like, but not in front of us because they're trained to be like super professional.
Yeah.
And there definitely would have been moments where I think they could have felt a little overstimulated by the amount of energy or like dynamics in the room, because obviously you put a whole bunch of really strong creatives in a room and there's going to be a lot of ego. So there were probably moments where they felt a little bit like annoyed or frustrated, but they barely showed it. They'd do the general probably like, come on guys, like let's put it together, but nothing crazy. So they were really good to work for.
When I first thought of doing a podcast in 2019, I wrote down everything that I wanted to achieve with the show. And one thing I never wrote down was to spam you with ads of products that I never really used myself. However, I did write down that I wanted to grow it as big as possible and have as many interesting people on the show as I could. To help make that happen, all I ask is that you leave a review on the podcast platform that you're listening to this episode on and share it with someone that you know it will benefit. If you want to support myself even further, and more importantly, your body transformation, and are interested in having me as your coach to help you achieve the results that you just can't seem to achieve on your own, you can visit teamrockashby.com to see what program fits you best.